So a very warm welcome to everyone who's here in person and also to all of those who are online. Today we're going to explore three key elements, three key websites critical for Jewish genealogical research: JewishGen, JRI-Poland and the JGSGB. I'll get it right by the end of this. My name is Barbara Simon. I'm the Vice President of the AJHS. My co-host is Dani Haski, a long-time member of AJGS and the AJHS, and a member of our Genealogical Subcommittee. She's also the editor of our award-winning journal, Kosher Koala, the creator of our videos, and so much more. It's my pleasure to hand over to Dani, who'll present both JewishGen and JRI-Poland. Dani, it's over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, it's always good morning for me. I'm going to start talking about JewishGen and JRI-Poland. And JewishGen is one of the primary resources that we use for researching Jewish family history. The site is a central repository of indexes and information related to Jewish genealogical records from across the world. So what are the three kind of most key things in JewishGen? Well, the Town Finder is an incredibly important little resource. Obviously, the records, and we're going to go into some of the ways to search those records, and the Family Finder, which will help you connect with other researchers around the world. JewishGen holds over 30 million index records covering over 6,000 communities around the world in 23 localities and subject matters. So what we are going to do now is we're actually going to go to the JewishGen website. This is all going to be live, so I'll apologise in advance if the internet does strange things to us. Hopefully it won't. So JewishGen is generally a free site to use. You do need to register in order to access it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to log in, which is this little thing up here, and it will log into my account. Now, the first thing that always comes up whenever you log in is this donate page. If you donate more than $100, which is kind of what they'd really like you to donate annually, you will gain access to value-added services. But even if you're not, you just hit the maybe later and it will go across to the same search field that we saw before. Now, this is what's called the universal search, but we're actually going to start with the Town Finder or the Communities Database, which is this page here. Some people call it Town Finder, some people call it the Jewish Communities Database. Either way, it's going to help you work out information about, historic information about the town where your ancestors were possibly born. So we're going to, just to give you an example, we're going to put in Lviv, the capital of Ukraine, and you can see that there's some options here with which you can pick which modern country you want to look for, if there are variations on that, or interwar. You can also decide whether it's going to be miles or kilometres, any of the information that you've given. And when you start the search, you can see that what it brings up here is the coordinates of Lviv in Ukraine, west of Kyiv. It's got information, similar information that is along here is also down here. So, but in a little bit more detail. So we've got that it's Lviv in Ukraine, it's Lwów in Polish, it was Lemberg at some point back in the day, Lembrick in Yiddish, Lvov in Russian, and Leopold in Latvian. And around 1950, it was part of the Soviet Union, you can see there. Between the wars, it was in Polish territory, and before 1900, it was part of Galicia in the Austrian Empire. And the other little bit of information here is that there are nearly 4,000 Family Finder entries that relate to Lviv. So, and as we saw in the drop down, there's a little bit more information just down in this drop down, and quite often if you see this little symbol here, it will bring up this information as well. So we'll go back to the home page and talk about the thing that I'm sure everybody is quite keen on knowing about, which is search. So people will often use the Town Finder and the search in tandem, because if you are trying to figure out what the name of the town is you're looking at in a record that you're not familiar with, you can go back to the Town Finder and put it in and it will tell you. So as I said, there's a couple of different ways of searching. This is the unified search. It gives you 2 fields to search in, but with some variations, and it will search the entire collection. So today we're going to use the surname Schmuljan, and instead of a given name, we're going to use the town Riga, and we're just going to leave the region as all countries. So when we go search our collection, it brings up 39 results. And you can see that it's broken up. We've got JewishGen family tree of the Jewish people, which is crowdsourced family trees. So the same way you put your tree up in Ancestry or MyHeritage, you can upload it here. It's not as changeable as it is in those other platforms, but it helps other people connect. If they see that they've got the same relative as you, they can contact you. We've also got the JewishGen Latvia database with some different records there. We've got the JewishGen Lithuania database, which in this case also includes the Litva Special Interest Group database. And we've got the Holocaust database and the Worldwide Burial database. So these are all individual database sets within the JewishGen system. Now, I'm just going to open another window. It should still be logged in, yes. Now, another way of searching is if we do the same surname, but instead of putting a town in, we put Latvia, which is where this family are from. This gives us 79 different matches. So different ways of searching will give you possibly different results. And you can see in this one, we get some family finder results. We get more out of the Riga database, and we get different results in the Holocaust database. So different types of searches will give you different results. And just to show you one more way of searching, if you go to the country and topical databases, you can see here, you can see here that this is the 23 different regions that was in the opening slide that I mentioned. And so you can choose, just for example, to click on Latvia. And in this case, there's only one database, but some of them, for example, Lithuania, has more than one database associated with a particular country. So you've got this Eastern European one with your score books. And so if I was to click on there and do the same search, and here you can see there are 4 fields available, but in order to get access to the other fields, you need to be a donor. So if we put Schmuljan in again and do the same search, we get the 79 matches. So by doing the drop down with the region, you're effectively doing the same search as you would be in going into those different regions. Okay, so looking at some of the records on these lists, I just want to show you so down here in the numbers of lists, that's telling you how many there are. Now, I thought this was a really interesting record here, the Latvia Internal Passport Issuance Book between 1919 and 1940. So if I click on that, this is what you get. So you get a reading of information out of that issuance book. So we've got different people with the name Shmulyan, and today we're going to concentrate on this lady here, Bela. So this entry was done the 18th of October 1919, and you'll see there's quite a few that were done on this date. Her father's name was her father's name was Katz, and I actually happen to know it's Katzkel. And her maiden name was Dimant. So here it's Diman or Diman. She was born 1st of June 1866 in Akmenė, Lithuania. I always thought she was born in Žagarė, but Akmenė is down the road. She's married, not working. She lives in Alberta 93, which is a street in Riga. This is her new passport. And then these are actually, if we look up here, these are the archival references, right? So it's got the reference number, the image number, the photograph, and then the all-important number, which is word rather, which is link. So here we can see that all of these records have a link. And when I click on that link, it takes me to Family Search, and it takes me to the page, the actual record, and which is very, very exciting because I know a lot about Bela and I had never seen this until I was preparing for the talk. And from here you can download the whole page and save it to your files. You do need to be logged into Family Search. Family Search is free. It's one of the most incredible resources on the internet. We might do a day on Jewish records in Family Search because they do have a lot. So that is the Latvian passports. With all the other records, you basically have to just click through each one and do a process of elimination. If the person you're looking for is there, great. Make your notes, get your information, and if they're not, close the window, move on to the next one. The last thing we're going to look at for JewishGen is the Family Finder. So the Family Finder is under the Connect menu because that's pretty much what you're doing with the Family Finder. When you sign up to JewishGen, you'll be asked to if you want to fill in your Family Finder research, it's who you're researching and where they are. And you have the option of remaining anonymous. And so it just has your researcher number, but it gives people the opportunity to get in touch with you. So you can search the database, you can look at your existing list, you can modify your list, and you can add new entries. I have a feeling there's a limit of 19 because I can't add any more and I've got 19. Just to show you my list so you can see what it looks like. You have to do each one on a separate line, even if it's the same surname. So for example, I've got Diamond and Dimant, both for Akmenė, because that's where my family were, my paternal great-great-grandfather was born. But I haven't got any information on him. Again, Haski's both Cairo and Aleppo. So you have to do a single line for each one, and I have a feeling that is the limit of it. So, but then if you're searching for someone and you want to, so let's say I put in our Shmulyan. You can see that it does the different versions of the spelling, so Soundex spelling, different types of spelling. Now, the other really important thing to look at here, if you're thinking about contacting someone, definitely check the last time they logged in, because you can see on this one, this person has not logged in for nearly 20 years. So the chances that that person is checking their email, has the right email, is interested in responding is fairly low. But this one here, that's probably me. And so I've made myself anonymous. You just need to double check, and anyone that hasn't logged in to the last 5 years or so may not be interested in being contacted, unfortunately. So that is a disadvantage. That is JewishGen, the Town Finder, Records and Family Finder. Now we're going to go on to JRI-Poland. Now, JRI-Poland and JewishGen are inextricably linked. When you do searches for in JewishGen, you will sometimes see records that are in JRI-Poland in your search returns. So JRI-Poland is specifically focused on Polish territory, but this includes former Polish territory. So it could be areas of Prussia, it could be areas of Galicia. These are provinces that don't exist anymore, that were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire or the German Empire, but they're territories that don't exist in modern geography, but obviously they exist in historical geography. JRI-Poland has over 7 million indexed records, and a great many of them are linked directly to the Polish archives. Not all of them, but quite a lot of them. So again, we're going to look at the Town Explorer in this one. It's a bit different to the Town Finder in JewishGen. It has a different setup. We're going to look at some of their record collection, and we're going to talk a little bit about search tips and best practice searching in JRI-Poland. Once again, you have to have a membership. JRI-Poland was largely the work of this gentleman here, Stanley Diamond, who very sadly died at the end of last year, but it's now being carried on by the foundation that he set up, and it has a lot of very dedicated volunteers, including quite a lot of Australians. So to get access, you just sign in. If you don't have it, you won't be able to look at anything. So the Town Explorer is just up here in the top menu, and it's a good way of seeing what's there. You can designate favourites if you have them, and it's got this map with these colour-coded dots all over it. So the dots indicate what kinds of records they have, and you can see down in the bottom left-hand corner is this legend. So the yellow ones are existing Jewish civil and vital records. So anywhere there's a dot, don't get freaked out if you float over the dot and it says 0 records. Don't worry about that yet. The pink dots are vital records after 1874, and they're mixed with civil records. The brown dots are 1808 to 1825 mixed civil registers, and the green ones means that the town's there, but there are no known Jewish civil vital records at this stage. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see there's a list of, these are town names in alphabetical order, and they're also colour-coded the same way. So if they're yellow, it means there are existing vital records available. Now we're going to do a bit of a search for a town name, and the town that we're going to search today is Posen, just because we thought it was an interesting example. So Posen was in Prussia. It's called Poznan today. It's in Poland. And on the right-hand side here, so I'm just going to look at my mouse. So on the right-hand side here, you'll see some information about the town. So alternate names, the sub-region that it was in, the research area. There's also this area coordinator and town leader. So that's the individual who is responsible for looking after everything in JRI-Poland to do with this particular town. You can contact the town volunteer and you can donate specific projects with it that are being done for that town. So it means rather than just going into a pool, you can actually donate to areas of specific interest. Then we have this source inventory, which is very, very important. So if I click on this little drop down, this tells you the records that are available and where they are. So we have birth, marriage and deaths from 1874 to 1913, and we have multiple options for that. So one is the district, village 1. Now, so that's, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure what village 1, village 2, village 3 means in this context, but this one you can see doesn't have a district in it. It's just got the repository, and it's a similar code, but this one's 1927 and this one's 1926. Now, if I click on this and open it in a new tab, it goes to the Polish archives. And as you can see, the site's in Polish. One of the easiest ways to translate this so you kind of know what you're doing is if you are in Chrome, these little dots up on the side here, if you click on that and look at the thing and go down to translate, and it'll bring up and it'll go detected languages or English, and you click on English and it will translate the page for you into English. So these are births from 1874 to 1922 and marriages and deaths from 1874 to 1935. There's 5 series with 400 files, and this is really important. There's 22,000 scans. Now, if I click on this, what it does is it takes me to those scans, but they're undifferentiated. So if you want to sift through these scans one by one, you can do that. You just click on it and it will open. And it will open. There we go. It will open and there's the actual scan of the record. But we're not, that's if you've got time to sit and go through all of those individual scans. Now, you also have non-vital records. So in this case, they have notarial records. And again, if I translate this page from Polish to English, it's got the files of the notary, and it's got the name of the notary. So these are scanned files that may have things of interest in them for your relative. And there's some population records, which are resident cards, which, because there's no link here, these may not have been digitised yet in the archives. So that means they've been looked at, but they haven't yet been digitised. In some records, there is a surname list. So if you just want to check whether your family's surname shows up in a list, if that surname list is in the town that you're looking at, that could be helpful. And then there's projects. So in this case, there's a vital record project that's been fully funded. And so they'll be working on that. And then external resources are links to JewishGen Communities database, Roots to Roots. This is the Polish State Archives website, and this is the Poland Museum website. This used to be Virtual Shtetl, and that's now part of the Poland Museum website in Warsaw. What we'll do now is we'll have a look at searches, so that can be very helpful. And there are 2 different sorts of searches. You'll see the legacy search and the next gen search. Now, the next gen search is a work in progress. It looks really nice, the page looks great, but there are very few records available in this search. So I recommend against you at this point in time. we're going to go to the legacy search, which, as you can see, looks very similar to the JewishGen search. But in this case, you actually get access to all 4 search fields, which means there are 4 different types of data. So surname, given name, town name, and then you can put a word that's in any field in any of the databases. May be helpful if you're looking for something quite specific. The trick about searching is it's good to start wide and narrow down. So if you were to put something in all 4 of these fields, the likelihood of you finding something is actually quite small, because if it's looking for something really specific, it's actually very likely not to find it. So we are going to just do a really broad search for Witkowski, which people may know is one of Barbara's family names. So we're just going to put that in a surname. Now, in the regions in JewishGen, it's slightly different regions. And you can see here that we've got the Russian Pale, you've got Congress Poland, you've got Galicia, and you've got Prussia that you can search in. And so this is quite helpful for that if you want to narrow down your search to a particular region. I often do searches in Galicia because that's where a lot of my family is from. So it narrows down to those regions that that you want to concentrate on. You can also search by a radius. So if you want to search 100 miles from a particular town, you can do that. You can put coordinates in. You can also search within a year range, which if you're really trying to narrow down a particular time period. So to search, you just press on this, I agree to the conditions below. If you want to read the conditions below, they are there. They're like every other terms and conditions on every other search site. In the JewishGen data, in the JRI-Poland database, these are the records that we have. So they're divided by gubernia or region, and you can see various different numbers, which are the records that we have available in those. But you can also see that there's 652 records in the JewishGen Polish database. So this is the JewishGen database for Poland that has stuff that is not in JRI. There's also Geisha Galicia, which is another special interest group, and also the Yad Vashem records. So they're all connected in some way. And again, we'll just go this single record here. If something is there, it will bring it up, and all this information here tells you what this record in the archive, what this group of records has. So a lot of them are very broken up. It opens in a new window. So to look at something else, you just close it down. If there's lots of records, they're divided by the record set. So in this case, you've got Bodznaro, births, death, and marriages. I'm not even going to try and pronounce these names. You've got this town here, you've got Droben, you've got Golub-Dobrzhin, which is one of my family places. Golub-Dobrzhin again. Mlawa. Now, something that is not here in this little one here, on the right-hand side, you will sometimes have a microfilm number. That is the family search microfilm number. So if you copy that number and you do a microfilm search in family search, you might get access to the actual film that might have been digitized. All the films in family search have been digitized. They just haven't all been made available publicly. So it might tell you that you have to go and look at it at a family search affiliate library, and there's a list on there of family search centres and family search affiliate libraries. And so the number that you want to go there with, or the number you want to look online with is your microfilm number and then your ACTA number, which is the record. The ACTA, AKTA, is the record number. So if we were to access this microfilm at a family search centre and then this ACTA number, it would be a birth record for this lady here. But if you're really, really lucky, you will have a link on this side that says view image. And when you click on that, it opens up the actual record on the Polish archives. Now you can see there's actually 4 here. So if we go back and look, and we want number 77. In fact, there's Chaim and Shulim. I'm thinking that these guys are twins. So 75, 76, 77. So this one here, whoops, that's a bit big. This record here, and you can actually see just here the names Chaim and Shulim. This is the birth record of this set of twins. So you can, again, you can download that if you enlarge and then right click and then save image as, it will, that you can download that record from the website, and then you can crop out the ones that that is yours and add it to your files. If you, obviously it's written in Polish and there are resources on the web. These are pro forma documents. So the first thing you want to look at is look for names in it. You'll be able to find parents' names and witnesses and stuff like that. But if you want a full translation, there are lots of resources around that will give you the pro forma translation of these, rather than having to pop it up on Tracing the Tribe or getting someone to translate it for you, because these were government documents. So there's all sorts of resources that will let you do it yourself. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult given it's handwriting to put it in Google Translate or anything like that. But let me tell you, AI is getting unbelievable at transcribing handwriting and then translating it. So I don't think it'll be long before we'll be able to just pop it into an AI engine. And if anyone is interested in me doing a workshop on AI, I'm happy to do that. So that was view image. That's the view image thing. So what I'm going to do is, just to show you how it works now, is I'm going to put that same Witkowski search in JewishGen, and show you where the JRI-Poland things come up. There we go. Okay, so sorry, let me start at the top. So a lot of results in lots of different databases. So we've got the Family Finder, the Family Tree of the Jewish people, Czech, Belarus, Bessarabian, Transnistria, France, Germany, and then we get down, we've got the IGRA files, we've got Litvak, SIG, Poland, and then in the Polish ones, you can see these are all from JRI-Poland. But it does help to get to know both sites. You can't really just rely on one thing in particular. Best practice when searching is to understand things like your geographical region, phonetic sounding. So one of the things you can do here, for example, is different types of searches. So I often just use phonetically because it's easy. But you've also got things like sounds like, which is a little bit different to phonetics. Starts with is exactly, if you want to look for something That's the only way it's spelled. Then you just do it exactly. Fuzzy, fuzzier, and fuzziest are just different versions of all of that. So you can play around with it. We looked at the different regions that it covers. So gaining an understanding of the geography of Poland at different periods of time, so that when you're researching a particular time period, you can hone in on where the borders were at that time. So there were times when Poland did not exist at all. And so you're looking at an area that is Poland today, but it wasn't Poland 150 years ago. So you need to understand the geography. So they were the key essential elements, the three things we think are the most important things in JRI-Poland. Obviously, the depth and breadth of both the JewishGen and the JRI-Poland record sets themselves would take us days to go through. So that's why this is a high-level thing. So I'm now going to hand over to Barbara, who is going to take us through Jewish Genealogical Society of Great Britain website.
So I'm also sure that those online have heard about having a ventriloquist. Well, I feel a bit like that's what the next hour is going to be as I go through Great Britain, and Danny's going to drive the computer for me, which is, I promise you, a better idea than me trying to do it and speak as well. It's challenging to say the least. Welcome this afternoon to the Jewish Genealogical Society of Great Britain, known as JGSGB. It's a resource for anybody who's tracing Jewish families with connections through England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, together with the Channel Islands, the Isle of Man, and Gibraltar. I'd like you to say that quickly. So let's start with the home page. Okay, so when you put in the website, this is the first screen that you'll see. So it will have a whole raft of information, and we'll go through that. But first, before we do anything else, let's just put a name in to see whether they have any records for me. So if we put in the name Collins, then it will show me a list of what records they hold in the name of Collins. Now, it's not giving me actual records, it's just telling me what they hold. So they've got plaque, death certificates for these particular people. We've got dates, we've got first names, and that's all that's doing. If we go into trying to do the name details, it's going to tell us that we actually have to join and log in. So we can't, in fact, go any further with that. So we'll go back to that home page and just briefly go through what you're seeing on that screen. So the first one talks about the history of the society and all that that's been, all that group is and what they do. Membership comes up and gives us a range of options of what they offer for us to become members. Their library has over 1,000 books, all of which are listed. They've got programs, meaning all the stuff that they've got online, past, present, future. They've recorded stuff. So if you become a member of them, you can certainly go online. You can certainly go through all those. There's a shop as well that has books that they've published over a period of time that you can purchase. But let's, for the moment now, go back to something called resources. So this is what comes up when you go to resources. You can see that these symbols, these blue symbols, can all be opened, and there's knowledge behind each and every one of them. But you'll also discover that on the top line, some of these are duplicated. So the membership one is duplicated, the library and programs and the shop. So you do get a lot of different places to find the same information. So the ones I was going to mention to you that these have in these resources, we have publications, which is their journal, the library books, which I just mentioned, the special interest groups, some useful links, the projects, that they've been on, that they've been working on. They're also inviting you to call them if you're looking for some speakers, and we'll go through. They've got researchers, translators. So if you've got stuff that you want translated, they're certainly happy to help you. But as Dani has pointed out, there are many resources to get translators. And then they've got some searchable lists, which we'll go to shortly. But there is a JCR UK. We'll come back to that one. So if we now log in and become a member, and my login or Dani's login will come up. Here we go. So now we're looking at the members area, and it shows me all the things that are available. It's got their journal and their newsletters. It's got data, which we'll come back to in a second. It's the special interest groups that I mentioned previously, discussions, all the videos that they've done, educational videos, handouts. So all of that information, when you press on those buttons, brings you up with additional information underneath them. So if we go to the browsable records, we'll see here a list of what's available to a non-member and what's available to a member. So you've got lots of things that may be of interest to you, like you've got births, deaths and marriages certificates, you've got plaques, you've got census records. If your name happens to be Solomon or Cohen around 1851, there are thousands of records just out of that. Chief rabbis in the United Kingdom, subscription lists, the Gabe book, all sorts of interesting things are behind each of these search records. So if we look at the indexed records, and the previous search is still there. But if we were to change that now and just put Levi in, a member of whom happens to have joined us for today, you'll find the records that are in England that are available on this list. And again, you've got census records in Manchester, you've got death certificates, also in Manchester, all sorts of school administration. So there's a whole raft of information, but these are not indexed records.
I click on name also.
So if we go into the name details, you'll see that that's the information it provides me.
Go to the source.
So if we go to the source, then we get this information again that may not meet the needs that you're looking for, but at least tells you that they do have some information through the Great Britain records. So I think what I'd like to do is take you to the JCR UK website, or the link. There it is. Now, this is an amazing project, and it's between the JewishGen organisation and the Great Britain organisation. It's a joint project. And this project is really giving you some information that I think you'll find very helpful and very useful. So if we search the database, is that what we're going to do? Yep. It holds a total of 390,000 records in a series of databases. Just go back for a second. Sorry. If you look at the left-hand side, you'll see all the different databases that it holds. And across the top, it's showing you that it is England, Scotland, Ireland, Channel Islands, Isle of Man, and Gibraltar. So all of these records are held by them. Scroll down.
Oh, yeah.
So what we wanted to show you was that the contents of all the UK database comes from all of these files. So similar to the things that we saw in the other websites that we looked at, this shows me the collection, and these collections are large. All the numbers are quoted there. So the marriages, there's 16,000, over 16,000. The census returns is over 47,000. So there are a lot of records that we will be able to get access to through this. So back to our example.
And now you're going to do Collins with a C.
I know.
I'll step out of your space. This is what happens when you have a ventriloquist, you see.
Double L Collins. Again, it's phonetics, so if I hadn't quite spelt it correctly.
So when
There
we
we go.
look at this, there's 1,243 records. Well, that might be a bigger a number than I want to spend the afternoon looking through. But you can see how many of those are attributed to JCR UK. So if I go back on that record and amend it, and I'll put in the name John as a first given name, and then put in John. Now we've got it down to 123. That's a little more manageable. I've got the patience to go through 123 records. So if I were to do that, then this is the list that would come up. So let's have a look at one of these records and see whether we can find something that's of interest. So let's try the 1851 Anglo Jewry database, which has 12 records. And we'll look for John. And the information I've been given is that his parents were Wolf and Priscilla. So let me see if I can't find them. So down the bottom, just before that change in the colour bar, I find John Collins. I found a date and place, the parents' names, and on the right-hand side, I've got a number. The number has a line under it, so I know that's a link. So when I press on that link, it brings me up a record. And I like this record because it tells me a date, it tells me a name, it tells me the year of birth, the place of birth, the source of that information came from a census record. It tells me the year of death, the place of burial, the father's name, the mother's name, the faith affiliation, the source of that faith affiliation, and then right down the bottom, just before we click on it, it's got 3 further pieces of information that we can click on. Spouse information, children information, addresses and occupation information. So if we go to the spouse information, we see that his wife's name was Adele. They married in 1850. Adelaide. Let's say. And the source of that is West London Synagogue records. So we've got additional information to that family record, which I find to be very useful. So now if we go to the children, we have Willie and Solomon, and it also tells me where that information has come from. So going back one more time, and now we look at the address and the occupation. And what I like about this is that it's giving it to me over a period of time. So I've got 1820, 1850, 1870, 1880, and I've got addresses and cities and sources and occupation. So now I know he's a hatter and I know approximately when he retired. So we're going back to the same list and we're now going to look at the marriages. And now we're looking for John Collins, and we just found out who his wife was. It was Adelaide. And so again, on the right-hand side, we've got a full record. We can click on that full record. And now we've got also interesting and full information. It tells us who the bride's name and age, and there's room for all sorts of other information which may or may not be completed. The same applies for the groom, and both the parents, both the father's information is there. Now, if I go to the bottom of that page, I find the surname of the minister, and I also find additional record information that we didn't have anywhere else. It tells me when he died and when Adelaide died and where they were both buried, in which cemetery they were both buried. So the record source was West London Synagogue, and it gives me all that information on one record. So that was opening a marriage record. We knew the name of the bride and groom, and that's all we knew. And we got a lot of detailed information as a result of just going to that one record. So now if we go to a new search,
Scroll down the bottom.
Another search. And this time we're going to go, correct. Correct. So this is not about the names we're entering. It's really about the data that you can find. So the reason that we've chosen this one is because in amongst the JCR UK information, there are Jewish surnames in London registered insurance policies. Now, I would never have thought to go to an insurance policy for genealogical information, but let's have a look at this one. What do I find? I find 10 records, all for the same person, all insurance policies that this man got. So what's interesting about it is that we have the address and the occupation. And if we look to the right-hand side where the policy registration date and number is, we get the date. So the first one was 1814, the next one is 1818. And so I can actually work out exactly what policies were got at what time and what address he lived in during that period. So that's gold. For me, that's just amazing information that I would never have expected to have found, except for having found insurance policies for this person. To summarise, it's a good resource for anybody who's researching Jewish family history, and especially if you have UK connections, it obviously makes it easier. The free resources are limited. With membership, you may unlock access to the useful records and support. The JCR UK is available and seems to provide more detailed information than we were able to find anywhere else. So do recommend that you support these groups because they, like us, only survive by us doing what we can to help them continue the good work that they do. So remember also that
our organisation holds a library of books. We also hold the British Journal, and we have some synagogue record books as well. So we are also able to help you here, in addition to what I've been able to show you. I'm sure there's a lot more to uncover when you start searching your own families, but for now, that's a start.
So we've covered what we think are three very important, not the most important, there's always going to be more important websites for your individual research, because we know that every family is different and every family researcher is different. But JewishGen and JRI for, particularly for European, Eastern European, Jewish Genealogical Society of Great Britain, particularly for the UK and the British imperial records from other areas that the British had colonised. So any questions?
You made a comment earlier about the translations, that there are transformers or transformers.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about options for translating documents?
Can I just repeat that? So you've asked for how the translation of documents is handled? Is that what I'm understanding?
I'm looking for more information to help with the options for getting documents translated.
Right. Okay.
You want me to do that?
Yes, please.
Mentioned that
Yes, please.
it wasn't to be handled in here, it was for later, I think. So I'm interested to hear other ways outside of the docs and going on the computer.
Yeah. Well, there are different options if you need things translated. Obviously, you can hire a professional translator. So you might look up, you might call the embassy, it depends entirely. It's how long's a piece of string. If it's just one document that you want translated and it's Polish or Russian or something, the Tracing the Tribe website, Facebook group. So are you on Facebook?
Yes.
Okay. There is a group called Tracing the Tribe on Facebook, which is basically a Jewish genealogy help group. It's international, so people all over the world will help you. If you only have that one, if you only have a couple of things, then people will be very happy to just translate something small for you. I recently had, sorry, no, they'll do it for free. I recently had to get something in Chinese translated, not Jewish, Chinese, and I did actually find a wonderful group of Chinese genealogists online who, Australian Chinese. So Facebook is a fabulous resource. There is also on JewishGen, there is a thing called ViewMate. You can post things on there. There is a drop-down menu that you want a translation, what the language is. You put your picture up there, and hopefully somebody will come back and translate with a translation for you. The last time I did that, it was a couple of weeks before anyone got back to me, but someone did get back to me, and you just write back and say thank you very much, and again, that's free. If you have a lot of things to get translated, I would suggest getting a quote from a professional translator. The other option is AI. Now, a lot of that will depend entirely on the quality of the document. If your document is typewritten in a foreign language, you can put it into Claude or ChatGPT and have that and have it transcribed. You can then copy that transcription, check it against the original, copy that transcription into Google Translate. Can be a little bit mangled. Yes. I've actually done it with Russian.
Doesn't it depend on what you want the document for? I mean, if this is a legal document.
Oh, if it's a legal document, you have to have it professionally translated, and yeah. If it's just in the interest of seeing what you've got, then tracing the tribe's a great thing. Or if you look on Facebook, there are lots of specialist genealogy groups for different regions. It's good to be a member of all of them. So TTT is general. You've then got regional ones. So if you just put your region of interest in, there will be a group for it. Lots of Jewish groups on Facebook. They are all, like, you will have to answer a couple of questions to become a member, and, you know, they're mindful, don't talk politics on genealogy groups. So getting stuff translated. We have a question from Eva. Can the NCR UK joint project be seen by only going into JewishGen? Yes, it does link up to JewishGen. So I have a feeling that
Which project was it?
Oh, how much does it cost to join the society, the GB Society?
£35.
Yeah, I think a single membership is £35.
And you can do it online.
Yeah, and it can all be done online. So, yeah. I'm not sure if you access the JCR UK project through the GB website. I'm not actually sure whether it will, when you go to look at the results, whether it will ask you to log in, but creating a login for JewishGen is free. So it's, you just, like, if you're a Jewish genealogist, that's the first thing you do, is you create a login for JewishGen, because it doesn't matter where in the world you're searching, it's the Jewish family search, basically. Family search itself is a whole other workshop, I think, because family search is improving every day, but it's got some, because they have so many actual filmed records, because they've got all the microfilms, getting access to stuff is one step easier. So if they do have an available microfilm record, like I said, everything in their collection has now been digitised. It's just not all available online. I think they're still trying to attract people to the family search centres so they can proselytise, but they are an incredibly valuable resource. So, any more questions? No?
How would I search 1890s to 2020 Adelaide synagogue records?
Australian records, Australian Adelaide. Okay. We'll deal with that after we sign off.
Okay.
Because that's an Australian Jewish, not,
Okay.
yeah, that's specifically Australian.
Yeah.
So the question was, how do we search late 19th and 20th century Adelaide synagogue records? So we will take that offline. Do you want to do a sign off and say thank you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I will now hand to our fearless leader to sign off.
I want to thank everybody who's come in person this afternoon, and also thank you to all of you who are online. It's wonderful to be able to have a session like this, and we hope that it gives you a good starting point.